Satipatthana Meditation, Part 7. When his hand rests at his usual place, touching the limb, he should make a mental note such as touching. Then the disciple should proceed with his original exercise of knowing, rising and falling. If the disciple feels any other kind of painful sensation, he should keep his mind on the spot where such sensation occurs, making a mental note such as painful, suffering, aching, pressing, tired, giddy, and so on. The mental note must be made in a regulated manner, neither slowly nor quickly. The disciple may feel that the painful sensation ceases a while, or on the other hand, he may feel that the pain is increasing. If he feels that the pain is increasing, he should not be alarmed at this but must proceed with this contemplation resolutely. If the disciple carries on in this manner, the pain usually ceases. If, however, the disciple after some time finds that the pain increases and becomes almost unbearable, he must ignore the pain and proceed with the contemplation of rising and falling. In some cases, the disciple feel unbearable sensations of pain as soon as he gains certain progress in his samadhi. Samadhi is attentiveness. At times, he may feel the painful sensation of being poked by a knife or sharp pointed stick, or he may feel a burning sensation of being pricked by sharp needles, or he may feel an unpleasant sensation as if small insects were crawling all over the body. At times, he may also feel strongly the sensations of itching, biting, intense cold, etc. As soon as the disciple stops his contemplation, he may feel that these painful sensations cease. And again, on his proceeding with his contemplation, he may feel them as soon as he gains his samadhi attentiveness. As a matter of fact, these painful sensations are neither serious nor are they any form of disease. They are common factors and are always present in the body. As in the normal condition, the mind is always occupied with more conspicuous objects. These trifling factors become obscure. With the development of contemplation, the mental faculty becomes keener, and the disciple is therefore in a position to know these sensations until he has overcome them and until they cease. By resolutely proceeding with the contemplation, the disciple will not come to any harm. If the disciple feels timid and wavers in the contemplation, by stopping, he may encounter them again and again as soon as his contemplation is developed. If, however, he proceeds resolutely with his contemplation, he will overcome these painful conditions. He then may not again come across this kind of painful state in the course of his contemplation. If the disciple intends to sway his body, he should make a mental note such as intending, and while in the act of swaying. In some cases, it may so happen that the disciple, while being occupied with his usual contemplation, finds his body swaying to and fro. He should not be alarmed or worried about this. At the same time, he should not be pleased with it and wish for it. On the other hand, he must bear in mind that swaying will automatically cease if he keeps his mind firmly on this swaying. He should thus make a mental note such as swaying, swaying in a regulated manner, neither slowly nor quickly until swaying ceases. If he finds that swaying becomes intense, in spite of his making a mental note, he should lean against the wall or post or lie down on his bed and then proceed with his contemplation. The disciple should act in the same manner if he finds himself shaking or trembling. At times, when his contemplation is developed, he may feel a thrill off and on, or he may feel a chill passing through the back or through the whole body. This is nothing but piti, feeling of intense interest or rapture. Piti is feeling of intense interest or rapture, which naturally occurs in the course of contemplation when it is good. While his mind is fixed in contemplation, the disciple may be startled at the slightest sound. This happens because the disciple can feel more strongly the effect of phasa. Phasa means sensorial impression while in a state of good concentration. While in the course of his contemplation he feels thirsty, he should make a mental note of this feeling, such as thirsty is thirsty. If he then intends to stand up, intending, then he should make a mental note of each action of movement in preparing himself for standing up. He should keep his mind intently on the act of standing up and make a mental note such as standing. When he looks forward, as soon as he has stood up straightly, he will make a mental note such as looking, seeing, looking, seeing. When he intends to go forward, intending. When he begins to step forward, he should make a mental note of each step such as walking, or left, right. While walking, it is important to know completely every movement in each step from the beginning to the end. The same procedure should be adopted when he is taking a stroll or walking to and fro. The disciple should try and make a mental note of each step in two sections, such as lifting, putting. On his getting sufficient practice in this manner, he should then try and make a mental note of each step in three sections, such as lifting, pushing, putting, or up, forward, down. When he looks at the water pot or tap, as soon as he reaches the place, he should make a mental note such as looking, seeing. When he stops, stopping. When he stretches his hand, stretching. When the hand touches the cup, touching. When the hand catches hold of the cup, catching. When the hand dips the cup in the water, dipping. When the hand brings the cup to the mouth, bringing. When the cup touches the lips, touching. When he feels cold at the touch, cold. When he swallows, swallowing. When he returns the cup, returning. When he withdraws, his hand, withdrawing. When he puts down his hand, putting. When the hand touches the side of the body, touching. When he intends to turn back, intending. When he turns round, turning. When he marches forward, walking. On reaching his place, when he intends to stop, intending. When he stops, stopping. If he keeps on standing for some time, he should proceed with the usual contemplation of rising and falling. If he intends to sit down, intending, when he goes to the place for sitting down, walking, when he reaches the place, reaching, when he returns to sit, turning, when he's intent to sit down, intending, when he's in the act of sitting, he should sit down slowly and also keep his mind on the downward motion. Mental note should also be made of every action in his movements in bringing his legs and hands into position. He should then proceed with his usual contemplation of rising and falling. When he intends to lie down, intending, he should then proceed with the contemplation of on every phase of movement in the course of lying down, such as lifting, stretching, leaning, and so on. When he lies down, lying. When he touches the pillow, touching. Again, he should proceed with the contemplation of every phase of movement in bringing his hands, legs, and body into position. These actions should be carried out slowly. Then he should proceed with the usual contemplation of the rising and falling. If he feels any pain or feels hot or feels tired or feels itching or feels any other sensation, he should make a mental note of such feelings. Contemplation of various actions in swallowing and spitting, of feelings of pain and any other sensation, of various occurrences of thoughts, ideas, considerations, reflections, etc., and of various actions of movement of hands, legs, and body, etc., should be carried out as is usually done in the sitting posture. If there is nothing particular to note, the disciple should carry on with the usual contemplation of rising and falling. If he then feels sleepy, he should make a mental note such as sleepy. If he feels drowsy. After the disciple has gained sufficient concentration in contemplation, he may find that the sleepy or drowsy feeling passes away soon after, and he will feel fresh again. He should then proceed with the usual contemplation of rising and falling. Though he may not be able to overcome the feeling of drowsiness, he should not stop but carry on with this contemplation until he falls asleep. Sleep is nothing but a state of bhavang, bhavanga santana, that is, continuity of subconsciousness. It is similar to the first state of rebirth consciousness and the last state of consciousness at the moment of death. This state of consciousness is feeble and is not in a position to know any object. During waking life, this state of bhavanga regularly occurs between moments of seeing, hearing, thinking, etc. But as the occurrence of this state of bhavanga does not naturally last long, it is not generally clear and noticeable. This state of bhavanga continues for a long time during sleep and it therefore becomes obvious. During sleep, no contemplation is feasible. On awakening, the disciple should start with the contemplation of the first moment of awakening, such as awakening. For a beginner, it may not be possible to start from the first moment of awakening. He should, however, start from the moment he remembers. For instance, if he becomes aware of the fact that he is reflecting, he should at once start his contemplation from this point, such as reflecting. He should afterwards proceed with his usual contemplation of rising and falling. Every detailed action of the movements in turning, in bending, stretching, etc. of his body, hands and legs should be contemplated. If he thinks of the time, he should make a mental note such as thinking. If he intends to get up, intending. If he prepares to gather up his body into position for getting up, preparing. As he raises up his body slowly, getting up. When he comes to the sitting position, sitting. If he remains in the sitting position long, he should proceed with the usual contemplation of rising and falling. While the disciple is in the act of washing his face or taking his bath, he should carry out this act with due contemplations on every detailed action of the movement in the order, such as looking, seeing, stretching, holding, dipping, carrying, pouring, feeling cold, rubbing, and so on. While in the act of adjusting his dress or arranging his bed or opening or closing the door or handling or taking up anything, he should be occupied with the contemplation of every detail of his actions in their respective order. He should similarly be occupied with the contemplation of every detail of his actions when he is partaking of his food, such as when he looks at the food, looking, seeing, when he arranges the food with his hand, arranging, when he brings the food to the mouth, bringing, when he bends his neck forward, bending, when the food touches the lips, touching, when he places the food in the mouth, placing, when he shuts his mouth, shutting, when he withdraws his hand, withdrawing, when his hand touches a plate, touching, when he straightens his neck, straightening, when he chews, chewing, when he knows the taste, knowing, when he swallows the food, swallowing, when the food goes down the throat, touching the sides, touching. Thus, he should carry on his contemplation every time he partakes of each morsel of food until he finishes his meal. In the beginning of the practice, there will be many omissions. However, the disciple should not waver in his endeavor but persist in this practice. As he gains practice, he will find that he can carry on with the fewer omissions. With more advanced practice, he will be able to know more details than those mentioned above. Advancement in contemplation. After having practiced for a day and a night, the disciple may find that his contemplation has advanced considerably, and thus he can carry on with his usual contemplation of rising and falling easily. He will at the same time find that a break generally occurs between the movements of rising and falling. If he is in a sitting posture, he should fill in the break by making a mental note on the act of sitting as well, such as rising, falling, sitting, rising, falling, sitting. While making such a note as sitting, he should keep his mind on the erect position of his body. If he is in the lying posture, he should proceed thus: rising, falling, lying, rising, falling, lying. If he still finds it easy to proceed with making a note of three sections, and if he finds that a break generally occurs at the end of rising as well as at the end of falling, he should proceed with making a note such as rising, sitting, or lying, falling, sitting, or lying. As soon as he does not find it easy to carry on with this manner of making a note on 3 or 4 sections, he should revert to the usual manner of noting 2 sections, such as rising and falling. While the disciple is engaged in the ordinary mode of contemplating any movements of his body, he need not concern himself with any object of seeing or hearing. So long as he is able to keep his mind on the movements of rising and falling, it may be assumed the purpose of keeping the mind on the mere point of seeing and hearing is also served. If, however, he happens to look intensely at an object, he should at once make a mental note, such as seeing 2 or 3 times, and then proceed with his usual contemplation of rising and falling. If any person, either male or female, happens to come in sight, he should make a mental note, such as seeing 2 or 3 times, and then proceed with his usual contemplation of rising and falling. If he happens to listen to any voice, he should make a mental note, such as listening, hearing, and then proceed with his usual contemplation of rising and falling. If he happens to hear loud sounds such as barking of dogs, speaking, songs, etc., he should at once make a mental note, such as hearing 2 or 3 times, and then proceed with his usual contemplation of rising and falling. If he fails to contemplate on sights and voices of such a distinctive nature as they occur, he may begin to dwell on reflections about those objects instead of proceeding with his intense contemplation of rising and falling, which may become less distinct and clear. In this way, Kailiyas, that is, meaning is mind defiling passions, are bred and are propagated. If such reflections occur, he should make a mental note such as reflecting 2 or 3 times and then proceed with his usual contemplation of rising and falling. On moving his body or any of his limbs, if he forgets or omits to make a mental note of these actions, he should simply make a mental note such as forgetting, and then proceed with his usual contemplation. Sometimes he may feel that his breathing becomes slow and that the movement of rising and falling is feeble and not clear. In this case, he should proceed with the contemplation of either sitting, touching, if he is in sitting posture, or lying, touching, if he is in lying posture. While contemplating, touching his mind should not be kept on the same spot but on different spots successively. There must be at least 6 or 7 different places. Lesson 4. After having spent some time in the course of this training, the disciple may feel lazy in his work when he considers there is no good progress in his training. He should then contemplate such as lazy before he can gain sufficient strength in sati. Sati means attentiveness, samadhi is fixedness of mind, and jnana insight. The disciple may feel doubtful about the correctness and usefulness of the method of training itself. In such cases, he should proceed with the contemplation such as doubtful. At times, he may expect and wish for a good result. In such cases, he should proceed with the contemplation such as expecting or wishing. At times, he might try to remember or think of the way or manner of his having carried out his training. In such cases, he should proceed with the contemplation of remembering and thinking. At times, he may be trying to examine whether the object of contemplation is rupa, matter, or nama, mind. In such cases, he should proceed with the contemplation, such as examining. At times, he will feel sorry because he does not find any improvement in his contemplation. In such cases, he should proceed with the contemplation, such as sorry. At times, he may feel happy when he thinks that his contemplation is improving. In such cases, he should proceed with this contemplation, such as happy. In this manner, he should make a mental note of every moment of mental behavior as it occurs and then proceed with this contemplation of rising and falling. The period of contemplation is from the time of waking until the disciple falls asleep. Thus, the disciple should be occupied incessantly with his contemplation throughout the day and night. There should be no relaxation whatever. On reaching a certain stage of developed contemplation, the disciple will not feel sleepy at all and will be able to carry on with this contemplation day and night. Summary of lessons. Whether good or bad, the disciple should contemplate on each mental occurrence. Whether small or big, the disciple should contemplate on each movement of his body and limbs. Whether pleasant or unpleasant, the disciple should contemplate on every sensation of his bodily feelings. Whether good or bad, the disciple should contemplate on every mental object or impression. If there is no special thing, the disciple should be fully occupied with the contemplation of rising and falling. If he has to go on any business, the disciple should contemplate on each step as walking or left, right. While taking an exercise in walking, the disciple should contemplate on each step by 3 sections such as up, forward, down. The disciple who is thus occupied fully with his contemplation throughout the day and night will be able to develop his concentration in order to gain the desirable stage of Udayabhaya Nana. Initial stage of the fourth degree of insight is Udayabhaya Nana. In no long time, as well as other higher stages of Vipassana Nana upon the final achievement. Thank you. This is all for Satipatthana meditation. It's completed. Please follow it. I think it will help you in making you more conscious. That's all.